Hello, and welcome to this talk about Helidon and Verrazzano and how to bring your microservices to the next level. Today, myself and David Cabellas will tell us how to do it in a wonderful combination of tools like Helidon and Verrazzano. I will start with Helidon, and then David will take over with Verrazzano. Okay, let's do it. So safe harbor statement, it means that you should take your business decisions and check whether nothing has changed in the moment of this presentation. So let us actually start with the most common task of the modern development. Everybody in the world, we all need to create a microservice. And let's actually create a microservice, not just in some kind of artificial microservice doing like nothing special, but let's create some kind of a close to reality system. So in this close to reality system, we want some people, some actual users, to understand some information about aircrafts. So each aircraft has some registration, whether it's a aircraft like a passenger jet or a cargo plane. So all of them have registrations, and our users want to know what is the aircraft actually with this current registration, what it can do, and what are its like capacities and possibilities. So we will create a REST service, which gives this possibility to our users. And actually this REST service will do it in a combination of the tools I told you. So Helidon and Verrazzano. So let us actually do it. So to write a microservice, you need so you won't do it from scratch with service, of course. So although you can do it, but that will be just too much painful. And to save all this pain, we in Oracle have created a wonderful set of libraries for developing microservices. So this set of library is called Helidon. So as you probably see, Helidon stands for swallow in Greek language. And I really enjoy this name because well, it actually very much represents the idea of microservices. So this bird flies in flocks, they're so maneuverable, so fast, so like brave birds, I would call them. And as you see, we have a very nice image of this bird, like this one small blue. And it's really awesome because it's one of the products which actually Oracle open source is now available under Apache 2.0 license. So everything is available on GitHub, on GitHub -Oracle-Helidon. So that means that nothing is hidden, all is there. If you have an issue, just go there and report. If you have something to propose us, just create a pull request or an issue once again, and we will be there. So what makes Helidon really awesome is actually that it's very fast, and it's fast because it's built on top of Netty. So it's asynchronous. We will get to this asynchronous stuff later on this talk. So, and more than that, it's really cloud native ready. That means that it's not just serving you some REST stuff there. It also gives you out of the box the possibilities to care for the health of the microservice, for metrics, tracing, everything. More than that, we care a lot for the Graalvm native image support. So Project Helidon is really like on the edge of the technology, I would say, and it provides you really great set of libraries for developing your microservices. So the only thing you should know is actually that Helidon runs on Java 11 plus versions of Java. That means that it's really time to upgrade your Java from version 8. Let's be honest, a lot of them run them, but you should do this because it's safe, it's better, it's modular. Yes, by the way, Helidon is modular, so that's why it would be nice to have Java 11 plus version to run Helidon. So let us actually have a look what Helidon is. High-level architecture. So we have Netty underneath, which makes it like a great foundation for running our microservices. Then we have so-called a layer on top of it, which is called Helidon Reactive, or we call it also Helidon SE, which actually provides a lot of services, especially cloud-native services, to run your microservices asynchronously. So this is like a foundation, that's low-level stuff. And on top of it, there is a layer, I'd call it, so I would say possibly the common usage layer, which is called Helidon MP, and an MP here stands for MicroProfile. So on our previous talk, we actually covered, on a previous talk on Dev Live, it was together with Alex Selvich earlier this year, we have covered Helidon MP, but I will just give a small overview to somebody who actually missed this talk, and just to say what it stands for. So Helidon MP, as I said, stands for MicroProfile. And what is MicroProfile? So MicroProfile is an open source community specification for Java microservices. It was actually invented just a few years ago, actually. So as several participants like, of course, Oracle, IBM, Red Hat, Payara, Tommy Tribe, and even Microsoft sat together and said, we need to create a standard way of writing microservices. And this is how the MicroProfile specification was born. So actually, this is not an implementation. That's just a specification, which means that other vendors have to implement it. And Helidon is just one of those vendors, not Helidon, products. So Oracle is vendor products which implement the specification, thus making your code really portable. So in the foundation, currently at this version, so we have 12 specifications that we have to implement to deliver really cloud native microservice specific support. That means like microservices means that we're living in a distributed world, which means that we have to care about spontaneous failures. We should care about metrics. We should care about security. We should care about tracing, fault tolerance, and documenting all of this. And actually, this specifications care about it. So although in the beginning there were only 3 specifications like CDI, JSON, P, and JOX-RES, now there are 12. And actually, there are some of them which are not part of the main release. But once again, the main idea is that you can be portable. That means you can start running your code in one service and then change the server, and it will work. So actually, when you run Helidon MP out of the box, you receive not only MicroProfile services, but also even a little bit more specifications that we do implement. That means that we also have like persistence, we also have transactions, WebSocket. We even care for some specifications that are out of scope of the MicroProfile for now. I mean, they're not included in the main flow. They're part of MicroProfile, but still not in the main flow. And like MicroProfile GraphQL, there was high demand for cores in gRPC, and we do provide this out of the box. So that means that whenever you want to port your services to Helidon, that will be done easier because we are standard. But once again, the previous time we were talking it, and that was the example of it together with Alex Selvich. And this time I want to specially cover Helidon SE, or Helidon Reactive APIs, as we call them. As we said, as you remember this picture, there's this Helidon reactive layer, which stands right on top of NetE. And technically, it's the foundation for this implementation of MicroProfile stuff, while we still provide absolutely the same functionality for running your code, but without this MicroProfile like top set-top box, I would say, and even more. So because NetE is asynchronous and Helidon SE is asynchronous, we even provide you a lot of stuff like asynchronous web client and asynchronous DB client. Even if you have a synchronous driver, it's DB client will care for you to work asynchronously with your code. So Helidon SE is really like a pure Java foundation for MP. And as you say, if you take on your right, you will see that writing code with Helidon MP is full of annotation. Absolutely the same code works in Helidon SE, but now it's pure Java. You can do absolutely the same, but without this overhead that MP will bring you. So once again, previous time it was MP. Once again, please check out this link for the previous recording together with Alex Savage. We did it with MP. Now, this demo, I want to do it with Helidon SE just to demonstrate the different flavor of Helidon and why it is so cool. So as we say, we are a Maven specific project. That means that we decided to work more with Maven to build everything. So you have an archetype, so just use it to generate a project. Another thing is whenever you have a project that you simply want to use, you just put one dependency actually, and you are in the game. You have everything to start working with Helidon. But as previously mentioned, we really want to simplify the life of our developers. And so we decided to create a CLI tool to help you actually do this. So this CLI, you can find it on this link. It's available on the Linux, Mac, and Windows. Just download it and you are in the game. Let us actually start playing with it. The empty folder, I will use just Helidon init command to create a project. So like in early, school days of mine, would create a lot of questionnaires with our programming languages. Here, you also have to just answer a few questions. So we will say that we have the last version of Helidon. So this tool checks everything for us. And we want to create a Helidon SE application. So we select one. And we want to create really, really small application to create on top of it the application we were talking previously to deliver information about aircrafts for us. So we will create a bare minimal application, and we continue to answer a few questions. Just in the interest of time, it will be like very fast. We will say project name default, group ID default, artifact ID default, of course, project version default, and package name. There's also a wonderful tool called development loop. That means that whenever you start using this project, the tool will take care and look at changes of your code and constantly compile it and reload it to you. Once again, in the interest of time, we will answer no for now, but I kindly ask you to start playing with it with yes. So what we have, like a project, so it's generated as this bare SE folder. Tree, yes, we want to see the tree of this folder. So you see just few Java files, one configuration, even tests, and this is it. So we will open it with our favorite IDE. So and see how it looks actually. So we really need some time everything to load because it's yes, it may take some time. Zoom now consumes a lot of resources, but you will see that our generated project already has some wonderful README. It's already has some Hello World stuff. And I want only to show you actually that this is pure Java. There is practically no annotation. I think only override annotation is something that we use here. And as you see, how it works. So we have main method. So just main function, which starts a web server, which starts completely asynchronously, which we only describe the routing. And there is one service we actually have to implement. So this is the service we have to implement. This is a Helidon service, and this service has only one function that we should override. This is the update method where we describe, okay, for this path, please call this function, which is like a typical function with request response, and do something and prepare a response and send it. And this is enough. I mean, this is really, really small. Well, in this case, it will be greeting service. Once again, in the interest of time, I already created a small project for us, which is typically the same. So, but here I'm very proud because, Java 17 is coming out. So I want to demonstrate some new features of Helidon. So as you said, we can use one sealed interface with flight range. So every aircraft has a flight range. Then every aircraft has registration, as I said, and we create a sealed class which permits passenger jet and cargo plane. Yes, and so each of them will implement, like, what is the max range and max power. Then, as I told you, we need to implement only one service actually, which has only one method override. And we say, okay, every time we get this registration, we want to get aircraft information. So we'll create a request with our registration code, and we'll send response with our aircraft information. And here I'm using also one Java 17 feature, which is like a switch expression. So we say, okay, so in case it's a cargo plane, please send this information. In case it's a passenger, send different information. Once again, we can do this, of course, with polymorphism, etc. But as Java now helps us do this, we will do it this way to demonstrate these new features. And I will, I've already precompiled it for you, so I will just run it. So Java, we have to enable preview of the new features, and I will run it. As you see, it's extremely fast. So I just pushed it, and maybe because Zoom consumes so much resources, we are able to start very fast. So for example, I get the first aircraft information. You see it's a passenger jet with this registration, and it runs like, has capacity of 120 passengers, run for 12,000 kilometers. Or I can actually see a different aircraft, which is like cargo plane. So it works perfectly well. Out of the box, you also have something called metrics. So we can observe the metrics of our application. It comes out of the box to you. And we can also observe the health status of our application, which is really, really fast. Well, by the way, every time you build, like, or create your application, there is a Docker file which will be created for you. And this Docker file actually helps us package everything and prepare it for the clouds. In our case, it will be with JDK 17. So you see how fast and easy can we create applications with Helidon. And you see that we have all the information coming here, and the startup time is really awesome. By the way, we've played with one with Oleg Live, I guess. Yes, about making a native image of it. A native image of it plus DB client plus web client may wait you only 16 megabytes. So now it's really small, but like native image of just 16 megabytes. And the startup times is fractions of seconds. So once again, Helidon is there, a great foundation for you to actually code your microservice. But only coding microservice is definitely not enough. We need to run it somewhere. And here, actually, David, are you here still with me? So David, now we have to put it in the clouds, and I give you the controls and give you the screens. Let's make it awesome. Thank you so much.
We just saw how easy it is to write a microservice using Helidon. And now that we have, this container image for the microservice, what do I do with it? How do I get it into the cloud? How do I get it into an environment that would be suitable for production? And that's where Verrazzano comes in. So Oracle Verrazzano Enterprise Container Platform is a new product we just released at the beginning of August. It is a you can think of it as a DevOps platform for containers. Things that are really important here is it really is truly designed to run across Kubernetes clusters. So think multi-cloud. So you can run this across Kubernetes clusters, whether they're on premises, in Oracle Cloud and other cloud platforms. It's designed from day one to enable that from a central place you can deploy across these places. It's also suitable for, or maybe I could say it makes it easy to take your existing traditional applications, Java EE applications, modernize them and move them onto this platform. And then in the same platform, so you unified management and deployment for your new Java microservices, like a Helidon microservice we just wrote, and other non-Java microservices as well. And I will say too, it is a complete opinionated, secure platform. It's a curated stack. We take a number of open source components. We actually take the source code, scan it for vulnerabilities, address those vulnerabilities, build from source, and then make those container images available as part of the platform that we install as part of Verrazzano. And then Oracle has also created a number of projects within GitHub for things like operators, admission controllers, custom resources that make all of this work truly as a platform. So it's not just a collection of things. It really runs very well and does as much of the heavy lifting as possible for when you're deploying your applications into a Kubernetes environment. Next slide here. So, why the name Verrazzano? So it's named after a bridge in New York. The bridge spans from Brooklyn to Staten Island. We see it as a bit of a metaphor, as a bridge between worlds or a bridge to the cloud. And I'll tell you, this bridge is pretty impressive. These are pictures I took a couple of weeks back, and it is an awesome sight to see. It's pretty good, and I'm happy to have my product named after this bridge. And just note the quiz icon up there in the left side. So when we look at deploying applications into Verrazzano, we've really again tried to make this as easy as possible. So as part of that, we've adopted Open Application Model as an application modeling and deployment strategy. Open Application Model is a community-driven standard. The community is really led by Microsoft and Alibaba. Oracle has been participating for a little more than a year now. This specification is really meant to make it so that application developers can create services or microservices without having to know where those applications are going to run. So we just saw Dimitri write a microservice, and there was no concern about where is this thing going to be deployed. And then there's also this notion of application operators, or maybe you could think of them as DevOps engineers, who take these components and assemble them into an application system and apply traits that map this application system to the environment where you want to run it. And that's what Open Application Model enables you to do. So in Verrazzano, we've adopted that, and we've actually even extended it so that we have additional workload types that we've created. So different component types. So your application developers would create a component. So we've got things like WebLogic components, we've got coherence workloads, we've got Helidon workloads. And then the specification itself allows for generic container workloads. So all of these work, right? Again, no matter what you want to run here. And it's really pretty simple, right? You provide a component YAML file that describes your component. And then the application operator takes those components and assembles them into an application configuration, and two small cube control commands into Verrazzano, and then Verrazzano really sets up everything for you. It does as much of the heavy lifting as possible. It creates the custom resources as needed for things like a WebLogic application. It will actually deploy the WebLogic Kubernetes operator, pass the custom resource to it, let it do its thing, right? So the operator actually does a lot of that deployment there, but then Verrazzano does the rest, right? It gets a token for the application, creates a service account, creates an authorization policy. In this case, the operator creates the deployment and service, but then Verrazzano creates a gateway, creates a virtual service. It actually gets a certificate for the application, puts that certificate into a secret, creates a network policy for the application. We do require, by default, within the service mesh, we require mutual TLS between components. And then we update the config map for Prometheus, so we then start capturing metrics and logs. So let's look real quick at what we're talking about here. So this component YAML file, again, pretty simple. We see the type is a component, it has to have a name. In this case, we're talking about a Helidon workload. And again, we've extended OAM, Open Application Model, to support this. And then we're pointing at an image that was uploaded to a registry. And then we actually know that this needs to be exposed at port 8080. And then we also have the application configuration YAML. So in this case, again, it's the type is app configuration. We've got a name for this. And then the components here, we're going to list, I only have one. And this is the linkage here to that named component aircraft. And then I need to add some things to it. So I need to add this ingress trait, which is basically saying, how do I get to this application? And I get to it through this path / aircraft. So that's pretty much it. Let's actually switch over and do it. So I have Oracle Cloud up and running here. And if we go to developer services, you'll see I have a Kubernetes cluster up and running here. It's a simple cluster. It has one node pool with 3 nodes in it. And I'm also going to use Cloud Shell. I've kind of prepared this. Cloud Shell is a shell built right into Oracle Cloud. It's really cool. It's really easy to use. It has the OCI client baked into it already. And then, when you're I have this set up to access that cluster already. So already ready to go. And let's do a couple of things here. So I'm going to create the namespace for my application. All right, give that a second. Well, let's do it. Let me copy the next thing. I'm going to label it. And the labeling here, actually, let me zoom in on my screen a little bit here. The labeling basically says this is a Verrazzano namespace, right? So it's going to be managed by Verrazzano, and it's going to participate in the Istio service mesh. And then I'm going to apply those 2 files, right? So cube control apply -f, and I want the component first, right? So aircraft component.yaml. So under the covers, Verrazzano takes this and creates those OAM constructs, right? A component, really. In this case, only one. And then and we'll go back and we'll do the application, right? And now this will actually take that component married up with the trait that we defined, and then deploy it into Verrazzano. So if I go to my Verrazzano console, and if I refresh this, you'll see I now have this aircraft application up and running. And let's actually go back to here, and I'm going to run those same curl commands that Dimitri ran. It's easier to cut and paste, and we can see like we're getting the same information. So this is up and running. Let's do the other one too, just for. Okay, so that's up and running. If I go now to my Grafana dashboard, we should be able to see, here's my aircraft up, and now let's go to my newest. You can imagine that I've practiced this a couple of times, so it hasn't quite gotten the data yet on this one yet, but that'll be up and running in a minute. I'll show you. Let's look at Bob's books, which you can see like we've got Grafana dashboards here for Helidon. It's really, it captures all that same metrics and information that we got from that Dimitri showed us a second ago. And then if we go to Kibana, let me refresh this too to make sure we're getting everything we need here. So we're getting logs, and if I do search for, let's search for aircraft, and we'll update that, and we'll see we're getting log files now related to this aircraft application. So let me switch back to slides, and we'll show you. Let's wrap this up, right? So again, we deployed a workload type, the Helidon workload type with that ingress trait. Verrazzano did like a bunch of the heavy lifting for us, right? Got a token, created a service account, created an authorization policy, created a Kubernetes deployment, a Kubernetes service, created a gateway, created a virtual service. They got a certificate for the application because we need mutual TLS, put that certificate into a secret, created that network policy for us, updated the Prometheus config map. So we start capturing Prometheus metrics. And then FluentD was already deployed within the environment. We began scraping or pulling the logs to push into Elasticsearch. So that's, I hope hope this was interesting, right? So Verrazzano is an enterprise container platform. It really makes it easy for you to deploy, manage, and secure your container-based applications. It's great for modernizing applications. It enables you to standardize management across clusters. There's some links here. Please, go try it out for yourself. We have a hands-on lab coming up today. Dimitri?
And yes, this is from my side, but it was also getting I really enjoyed this, how easy it is to deploy. And I'm really happy that Helidon is like a first-class citizen. So there's a special workload for Helidon there in Verrazzano. So it makes it really easy. And it saves a lot of time for you to automate everything. So I'm really happy about it. So whenever you want to learn, of course, more for Helidon, so which was made for creating this microservices, so there's a bunch of links. Tweet us, write us, read us on Medium. If you don't like to read, there's a bunch of videos coming on our official YouTube channel. We accept PRs in our GitHub official, so don't hesitate to submit issues or propose or write code and give us PRs. And whenever you want to talk, just go to our Slack and Slack us. So I think it's really great combination. And once again, thank you for being with us together with David, and still a lot of wonderful stuff coming next. So stay tuned for our next session of Gavin Bierman and Alina Urenko. So thank you so much.